So in today's topic, we're going to be approaching one central truth, and it is going to be overlapping by engagement, high performers, and retention. And all of these learnings that we've come all support each other. This particular topic, the seeds of this presentation began last November. And I was having a conversation with one of our clients in healthcare. And I asked how the turnover was, and she said 15%, which was okay. But this was an organization that was unusual in that they had performance reviews that really worked. I mean, they put a lot of energy behind making them work. They knew that performance reviews were reliable and an accurate measurement of how desirable the performer is. So, coming out of the recession, I had a hypothesis about what was happening to high performers. So I asked her if she could run the turnover numbers based on her A players and the others. So she took the top third of all her performers and ran the turnover numbers, and it was 20%. She took the other group and ran the numbers, and it was 10%. That was a very alarming finding for her. I mean, she was looking at a reverse evolutionary process. And so that suggested to us that this is an opportunity that deserves a lot of attention. The Leadership IQ reports that 47% of high performers plan to quit their job as soon as the economy improves. Only 18% low performers do. So you just can't look at the turnover number. You have to look at who is turning over. Then there's the 21%, according to Mercer's What's Working survey. 21%, they're not going to leave, but they're not going to give you 100% either. So in this level of sophistication that the HR profession is now, I think it's time now to go beyond turnover numbers and look at engagement, high performers, and find out the nuances underneath that and how to make sure more of your best people stay and not get in the way of your mediocre people leaving. So the explanation of what we're seeing is basically the recession. You know, we have this vast database from 25 years ago, but we really discount a lot of it prior to 3 years ago because the world has changed so much. During the recession, and we've all lived through it, I mean, it was a tough time. There was a lot of layoffs. Most organizations laid off the low performers when they could and kept the high performers, which meant the high performers worked hard. The high performers also went through a great deal of trauma and stress, seeing all this stuff happen. Bonuses were skipped, raises were delayed, workload increased, and the high performers are left. So it's really no wonder that coming out of the recession now, these were the ones that have some pent-up turnover, and they're looking for additional opportunities. So in the next hour or so, what I'd like to do is organize the content by first telling you what we've learned about identifying high performers. Identifying the traits and characteristics that mark high performers and what some of our clients use in order to identify and manage them. What we're learning about motivators and demotivators. High performers are different than other people. They're not motivated by the same things. And if you just look at job satisfaction scores, you're not likely to hit what's important to your high performers. And then we'll also report out some retention best practices. So this is also, feel free throughout the session to ask questions or get more information, because we want to make sure that this is worth your time and you go away with something that you can use when you go back to work on Monday. So first I'd like to ask, how many of you have, how many of your organizations have a process for identifying high performers? So about 1/3. And out of the third that has a process of identifying high performers, how many of you use a formal criteria? In other words, cut and dry. Okay. How many use a subjective haphazard? How many use a combination of both? Yeah, that's more like it. Well, you know, any kind of identification is better than no identification. And you can always validate what you think you're doing later to find out if you were right or wrong, as long as you don't hurt anybody in the process before you find out. But identification of high performers is it's politically very dangerous, and it is potentially very impactful for the organization's success and profitability. It's a place to tread carefully, but the rewards really outweigh the risks.